and thank you for being here, sparing time on a Sunday evening and joining us on this wonderful session. Thank you, Sunilji, for inviting us, and thank you to all the supporters. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you very much for inviting us, and I hope we are able to at least deliberate on the topic, and maybe there could be some takeaways. So I think we can just get going on this thing.
By the way, I'm not checking my phone. I've got some notes written down in my phone, so I'm looking at it time and again. So please don't consider it that I'm being rude and I'm checking my phone. They are just some pointers which I've noted, and I'll be referring to them time and again. Sir, let's start off this conversation. I think, and if any one of you also wants to chip in, please feel free to do that. We'll be more than happy to have a very open and open house sort of a discussion.
Basically, this is an open house, and I think it's not that we are trying to lecture on a topic. It's just like we're just sharing some thoughts.
If we can also request the organizers to have one mic which can be circulated. So let's start off with this, the discussion with the thing that the motto which the government has given for the coming few years is India on track of becoming a $5 trillion economy by 2024? And what role can the overall tax structure of the country play in realizing this dream of the government that we are a $5 trillion economy by 2024, sir? Your take on that?
Before I give my take on that, just a small disclaimer. I'm neither an economist nor I'm a chartered accountant. But basically, I've been in the taxation domain as a software developer for the last almost about 17, 18 years in this particular domain. So maybe in the journey, I've picked up certain things in the ecosystem which probably has put me into this particular domain line. So maybe I'll be sharing that, and there could be some technical glitches in what I'm going to talk about on the subject. So please do excuse me for that. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about a $5 trillion economy, I think we all are talking about it has to be inclusive, and more people have to actually get into the ecosystem. GST came in, this has gotten a lot many more people into the ecosystem, like we call it the ecosystem which is in white. In fact, there was a lot of activities going on which was not on what we call contributing to the GDP directly. But now once GST has come, parallel economy, whatever you may say. But basically more and more things have to get into it. Government has been taking a lot of steps to actually get a lot of people into the tax ecosystem. Tax ecosystem does not mean that you have to still pay tax, but at least what you are, basically what kind of income you are making and what exactly the government should know about it. So there is a lot of people who are making income, could be tax-free, but they were not in the ecosystem which the government is trying to get into it. So what the whole idea is that more and more people have to be contributing to the tax in some form or the other. And a lot of steps have been taken. In fact, I can share with you a number of cases what the government has done over the last 15 years in the area of TDS just to increase more and more people having their own PAN numbers. And I think demonetization itself.
Demonetization has given a boost to the people who are under the tax ambit. In fact, I think before demonetization, we had around 1.8 crore registered PAN card owners in the country. I think now the figure stands nearly at 5 crores post demonetization. So that has given it a real boost.
And I think we have about 5 crore PANs right now.
5 crore PAN right now. And in fact, sir, you made a very interesting point of GST. Only today, the government has published their GST figures for July, collections for July 2021. And it stands a staggering 1,16,000 crores. That's the collection which the government has made in the month of July 2021. I think Shyam can correct me, or I think that's the highest that has been till date since the implementation of GST. So I think what you're saying is correct, sir. The ambit has to be increased. More and more people need to come into the tax ambit, at least if not in terms of paying taxes, but at least reporting important transactions. And I think the sooner we are able to do it, and the better we are in place to achieve the target. So what role do you think AI is going to play in this?
Yeah, I was wanting to speak on this. In fact, it was almost about 4-5 years back, probably they came out with an idea of introducing artificial intelligence into income tax. I'm sure everybody must be having some basic idea what artificial intelligence is, but just to give a very layman's introduction to artificial intelligence. Actually, what happens is everybody of us has brains, and we are processing a lot of information on a day-to-day basis. And based on all the information that we process, we are building up a data bank into our system. And when we talk about intelligence in us, what exactly we are doing, all the information that we have been able to store in our brain, probably we analyze that, and whatever we come out with some thoughts, it's basically our intelligence which gives us that thought. So basically, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we are talking about something which the machine is continuously learning, just like our brain. And based on that machine learning algorithm, the information is there with the system, and then using this machine learning knowledge, it actually comes out with some kind of a intelligence which is helpful. Now, coming down to income tax and artificial intelligence, this is something the government has been working on, and I was given to understand that the new income tax portal has a lot of things built into this. Currently it is not working, so a lot of negativity is there. Keeping that aside, but I look forward in the next 3 months, 4 months, probably we all will get a lot of benefits. The concept of artificial intelligence is three. Number one, they want to make things as easy as possible for the taxpayer. And number two, compliance would be easier, and most importantly is, like, these people are trying to also find out patterns and things so that they are able to pull out abnormalities rather than doing some random investigations. They will have some very intelligent investigations based on real-time data. So with this in mind, the artificial intelligence system has been designed.
In fact, so most of the assessments which are happening right now, especially under 143.1, section under 143.1, most of it is happening through artificial intelligence. There is no manual intervention. They basically have set up a center in Hyderabad. I think one has also been set up in Bangalore. And most of the assessment orders are being passed through artificial intelligence. That has actually led to, we can see that earlier I think we had to wait for 1.5 to almost 2 years for our refunds to be processed. But now refunds are being processed within 3 to 4 months. I think some of you may have already received your refunds for the last assessment years. So that's how fast things are moving. And yes, AI is a very important thing. Because of that, because of AI and because of the digitization of the overall economy, now we are doing a lot of transactions via banking medium and not via cash. A lot of smaller transactions are also happening via Bhim app and all that stuff. So there is a massive digital footprint which I think the government is now able to track through AI, and that has really helped in increasing the ambit of the taxation or the taxpayers in the country.
Absolutely. Basically speaking, like, one part is the AI. AI has a lot many things like attached to it, and we'll keep on, like, I'll give you one very, basically as far as identifying tax default, that's one part of it. Let us talk about the conveniences that artificial intelligence could give. What happens is, right now when we look at an income tax form, it's maybe the form could be 30 pages, could be 20 pages, maybe for salaried people it could be a couple of pages, but once you're into even a small business, the form becomes quite big. But actually speaking, what happens, you need to just fill up 6 pages of that. But you have to go through all the 30 pages, not knowing whether you missed out anything. Now again, using artificial intelligence and data of the past, basically the department knows this particular SSC just needs these 3 sections to fill up his income tax. So you will only see that part of it. In case something is added, then voluntarily you can add that. But again, things becomes very simple for you. Next, we talk about, suppose as an individual, how I do a tax planning. Today, we run pillar to post to professionals, asking them how to help me, optimize my, how to plan my taxes so that I can minimize my liability. Maybe through artificial intelligence, the department through their website can help you minimize your tax liability. And then when it comes to educating people what to do, now since I know the entire group, the entire what you call the ecosystem, who's doing what, I can create multiple groups and start addressing based on what exactly I should be addressing one set of groups. Right now, earlier what used to happen, the same information was going to all maybe 1 crore people. But now I can actually divide this into maybe 300 messages and have targeted, communication with people.
And hence they have a pre-filled form which will now be live
Absolutely.
in the new portal that based on the transactions which have been reported on your PAN by others, you will get a pre-filled form on the portal. So that I think goes a long way.
This pre-filled form is basically more of integration of IT. What happens is they're assimilating a lot of information from multiple sources, keeping your PAN as the what you call the fulcrum. And apart from that, like they are trying to integrate multiple departments. Earlier, what used to happen, आप लोग क्या करते थे कि एक डिपार्टमेंट में एक इन्फॉर्मेशन देते थे, दूसरा में दूसरा देते थे, because they were not talking to each other. But now the government is trying to do one thing. They are trying to integrate everything into one single through one single handle. So basically, since they have information with them, they are able to give you pre-filled forms.
Sir, एक थोड़ा सा लेकिन you so far you have been pro government. Sir, when can we see easing of compliances? So one classic example is the TDS TCS provisions. They have actually gone into making it a little bit more complicated. So if I have a turnover of more than 10 CR, I am supposed to deduct TCS from all the vendors. Again, this is adding a layer of complication or rather adding another layer of obligation or compliance on the entrepreneurs, especially SMEs. 10 crore is, I think, a little too less, sir. Do you think, in terms of turnover? I think we should have been 100 crores.
Sir, actually, first thing is ki, I've been, part of the ecosystem, just sharing my thoughts. In fact, like, this whole process has started when you had a different government. So basically, there has been merits across the line, and actually, we are not here to actually criticize or, talk about the merits of the policy. We are just trying to see how things have been changing, and maybe whether good or bad, only time will say. Only time will say. Now coming down to, I think you're talking about purchase of goods and sale of goods. In purchase of goods, recently introduction has been the TDS. Just before that, you had sale of goods where TCS was introduced. 100% complication has happened. As an entrepreneur also, I have suffered because of that. And I can keep on, arguing and keep on shouting at the government why this has been done. But let us look at the other side. We want to increase the tax base. We want to increase the tax ecosystem. Now, what was happening till now, there are a lot of people doing crores and crores of business, and government doesn't even know about it. A lot of people were doing crores and crores of business, and government had no information about it. And basically, a person getting a salary of 7-8 lakh rupees, that is reported to the government because the TDS has been deducted by the employer. So that information the government had. So basically, government needed a mechanism how to find out those people who have not been paying taxes, they're not been filing returns, and they're doing massive turnover. So this TDS and TCS on purchase of goods came in, wherein at least a person doing some decent business by deducting a small 0.1% tax, at least it was a very, very small amount. But by deducting that tax, at least the government was knowing that this person is being doing this particular turnover. So again, they were trying to increase their base. As we were saying, if you want to build up a larger economy, more and more inclusiveness has to come in the economy. So you have to take it from that point of view when it comes to from their point of view. But as far as all of us are concerned, we all have actually suffered because of this, and we will complain and we will keep on complaining.
Sir, but then bottom line, are we on track to become a $5 trillion economy? Is it a good target to have, or is it an illogical or impractical target?
Well, not the right person to answer. I think very soon the Prime Minister is going to give an update. Definitely, COVID has put things back, but I hope so. When the government has thought about it, it must be having some blueprint with it. Absolutely.
So I am also an investor awareness resource person with SEBI. So I conduct a lot of investor awareness programs, and when I talk about $5 trillion economy, a lot of people who have just recently retired and all that stuff, they're like, boss, this is impractical. Why are we even talking about it? The point is, at least the government should set a higher standard. In order for us to become a $5 trillion economy, we as a nation have to do a lot of things correct. And even if by putting those things in place, if we become a $4 trillion economy, that's even good enough. So the idea is that the government should target high. That should be the motto. There was one classic example. So Wasim Akram told in one of his interviews, someone asked him, how are you able to accurately bowl such a Yorker? So he said that I aim for the top of the stump and not at the bottom of the stump. When I target the top, that's when I reach the bottom. So if the government is not thinking about $5 trillion economy, we will never be even a $4 trillion economy. So I think that's it, sir. Any other points?
The bottom line is, if you need a pistol, you need to apply for a patent.
Absolutely. So thank you everyone for your patient ears, and with this we'll hand over to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before you leave, I would like to ask Mr. S. Roy to please felicitate our panelists. Sir, please. Mr. Rahul Ruga. Mr. Dipan Mitro.